Captain Junho watched the red warning lights flash across his command screen. The mining station around Kepler 4-4 to be had been humanity's pride just 6 months ago. Now it felt like a tomb waiting to happen. "Sir, incoming message from the Tau Ceti." Colony called out Mina from her communication post. Her voice cracked with exhaustion. They had been receiving these messages for weeks now, each one more desperate than the last. The holographic display flickered to life. A woman's face appeared, covered in soot and blood. Behind her, explosions lit up the sky like deadly fireworks. "This is Commander Park from Tau Ceti. The hegemony has broken through our defenses. We have maybe 6 hours before they reach the civilian shelters. Where are the rescue ships from Earth? We sent our request 3 weeks ago." Junho felt his stomach twist. 3 weeks ago, Tau Ceti had over 2 million colonists. Yesterday, their final transmission reported less than 50,000 survivors hiding in underground bunkers. "Any response from Earth Control?" asked Taiho, who sat hunched. "Over the long-range communication array." "Nothing, sir. Same as always. The channels are open, but no one answers." Youngju burst into the command center, her face pale with fear. As the colony coordinator, she had been fielding panicked calls from families all morning. "Captain," the civilian. "Transports are demanding to know when the Earth fleet will arrive. I have 3,000 people asking me questions I cannot answer. Children are crying for their parents who died on the outer colonies. What do I tell them?" Gunho stared at the tactical display. 12 human colonies spread across different star systems, each one a beacon of hope when they were first established. Kepler 4 for 2b was the last major settlement still operational. The others had gone silent one by one over the past 4 months. "Show me the colony status again," he ordered. Taiho's fingers moved across his console. Red marks appeared on the star map, each one representing a dead world. Gliese 667c went dark 18 days ago. Wolf 359 stopped transmitting 12 days ago. Proxima Centauri managed to send one final message 6 days ago before the hegemony silenced them. What was their last message? "Tell our families on Earth. We died believing rescue was coming." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Millions of humans had died waiting for help that never came. Hyunwoo stepped forward from his position at the weapons console. "Captain, we need to face reality. Earth is not coming. Either they cannot help us, or they have chosen not to help us." "Do not say that," Youngju snapped. "Earth would never abandon us. There must be a reason." "What reason?" Hyunju shot back. "We have been sending distress signals for months. Every colony has begged for military support. The hegemony is not some mysterious enemy. We know exactly where they are and how they fight. A single Earth battle group could have saved thousands of lives." Mina looked up from her console with tears in her eyes. "I am picking up hegemony scout ships on the outer sensor grid. They will be here in 4 hours. Junho felt the weight of command crushing down on him. 3,000 colonists looked to him for answers he did not have. The escape pods could carry maybe 800 people.
The rest
Would have to face the hegemony ground forces. "Begin evacuation procedures," he ordered quietly. Priority 2. Families with children, then medical personnel, then essential colony records. "What about the mining equipment?" asked Taiho. "The rare earth deposits here are worth billions. Earth invested decades in this operation." "Earth should have thought about that before they left us to die," Yunho replied bitterly. As the evacuation began, Yunho walked to the observation deck. The planet below looked peaceful from orbit. Green continents and blue oceans reminded him of Earth. His daughter had been born here. She took her first steps in the colony's central park. Now she was among the refugees crowding into escape pods, asking why the bad aliens wanted to hurt them. Captain Mina called from behind him. "The hegemony fleet has arrived. 30 ships, including battle cruisers." Junho nodded. "Send the final transmission to Earth." He walked back to the command center and activated the long-range transmitter. His words would take 4 years to reach Earth, but someone needed to hear them. "Earth Control. This is Captain Junho, commanding Kepler Station. The hegemony fleet has arrived. We are beginning final evacuation procedures. In 4 hours, this colony will be destroyed, and its people will be dead or enslaved." He paused, looking at his crew. These brave men and women had served faithfully, believing that Earth would protect them. "We trusted you," he continued. "We left our home world to build something beautiful in the stars. We sent our children to schools that taught them to be proud of their human heritage. We worked dangerous jobs mining resources that would make Earth stronger and richer." His voice grew harder. "When the enemy came, we called for help. We begged for help. We died waiting for help that never came. History will remember that Earth abandoned its children when they needed rescue most." The transmission ended. Within hours, Kepler Station fell silent forever. The last major human colony outside Earth's solar system had become another red mark on the star charts. But in the depths of space, automated monitoring stations recorded everything. And on Earth, in places hidden from the galaxy's view, people were watching. People were remembering. People were preparing. The galaxy thought humanity's reach had been cut short. They were wrong. It was just beginning. Salman crawled through the ventilation shaft of Mining Complex 7, our small frame allowing her to reach places the alien overseers could not follow. 50 years had passed since the last human colony fell, and she had never seen Earth or breathed free air. The metal shaft ended at a grate overlooking the main processing floor. Below, hundreds of humans worked in silence, their heads shaved and bodies marked with identification numbers. The hegemony had found that humans made excellent workers when properly controlled. She spotted Jinwoo near the ore crushers. His shoulders were bent from decades of heavy labor, but his eyes still held a spark of defiance. He was one of the few who remembered the old stories. "Production quota increased by 15%, announced the hegemony supervisor through the translation device attached to its throat. The alien's 6 arms gestured at the human workers. "Failure to meet targets will result in reduced food. Rations." Salman slipped back through the shaft toward the hidden chamber where the elders gathered. The space was barely large enough for 20 people, carved from solid rock behind a false wall. Thick. Here the surviving humans shared memories of better times. Elder Do Yen sat cross-legged on the floor, his weathered hands holding a small piece of fabric. It was blue and white, part of an old Earth flag that had somehow survived the conquest.
Alice.
"Tell us about the colonies again," whispered Si-Yon, a young woman who had been born in captivity. Her eyes were bright with curiosity about a world she had never known. "Before the hegemony came, we had 12 beautiful worlds," Do Yen began. His voice was soft but steady. "Cities that touched the clouds, farms that grew food under alien suns, children who played in parks and learned to read and write." "What happened to Earth?" asked Byung-ho, a middle-aged man whose parents had died. In the first wave of attacks, Do Yen's expression grew sad. He sent messages begging for help. Earth never answered. Either they could not help us, or they chose not to help us. After so many years, I believe Earth itself fell to the hegemony, or perhaps some other enemy. The group fell silent. This was the reality they faced every day. They were alone in a galaxy that had forgotten them. "My grandmother used to tell me stories," someone said quietly. "She said Earth was a blue and green world with vast oceans and white clouds. She said the humans there were strong and brave and never abandoned their own people." "Stories," muttered Kyung-ho, a bitter man who had lost his entire family during Kumstor. "The invasion? Pretty lies to help children sleep. If Earth was so strong and brave, where were they when we needed them?" Minji, an elderly woman who had been a teacher before the conquest, spoke up. "We must not lose hope. Somewhere in the galaxy, there might be free humans who remember us." "Free humans?" Kyung-ho laughed harshly. "The hegemony controls everything. Their trade routes connect 1,000 worlds. Their military bases span dozens of star systems. If there were free humans out there, we would have heard something by now." Outside their hiding place, the daily routine of slavery continued. Humans woke before dawn, worked until exhaustion, and slept in crowded dormitories. The hegemony had learned that humans were more productive when kept alive, but broken in spirit. Salman returned to her assigned duties in the communication center. Her job was to monitor radio frequencies and report any unusual activity. The hegemony trusted her because she had been born into slavery and knew nothing else. But today, something was different.
Ow.
As she scanned the standard commercial channels, she picked up fragments of conversation between alien traders. Heard strange stories from the Outer Rim. Ships that appear and disappear like ghosts. Some say they bear human markings, but that is impossible. Summon's heart raced. She carefully recorded the frequencies and planned to share this information with the elders tonight. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were taking place. The hegemony had grown comfortable in their dominance. They had converted former human colonies into profitable enterprises. Mining worlds, factory planets, agricultural centers that fed their expanding empire. The alien species that had once feared human expansion now barely remembered them. Humans had become a footnote in galactic history, a cautionary tale about what happened to upstart races that spread too far too fast. Young hegemony officers studied the human conquest as an example of efficient military strategy. Complete victory achieved in less than 2 years. No major resistance after the initial attacks. The human colonies had crumbled like paper in a storm. Why did they expand so quickly if they could not defend themselves? Asked a student in a military academy on the hegemony capital world. Humans were emotional and illogical, replied the instructor. They believed their home world would protect them across any distance. When that protection failed to arrive, they lost hope and surrendered. Easily. But in the depths of space, automated monitoring stations continued their silent vigil. They recorded every hegemony ship movement, every communication, every weakness in their defenses. The data flowed through hidden networks to places the galaxy had forgotten. On a small moon, in an unremarkable system, Yunji worked late into the night. She was the daughter of survivors from the Tau Ceti colony, raised on stories of Earth's promise to return. Around her, dozens of other humans maintained equipment that had been running for decades. Status report, she called out. All monitoring stations operational, came the response. Intelligence gathering continues as planned. Yunji smiled grimly. The galaxy thought humanity was finished. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Minho stood in the center of the command room. 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, the walls around him displayed thousands of points of light, each one representing a hegemony ship, base, or patrol route. For 50 years, Earth had been watching and waiting. Status report on Operation Homecoming, he commanded. Commander Yuzhan approached with her data tablet. Her uniform bore the insignia of the Deep Space Intelligence Division, a branch of the military that officially did not exist. All surveillance networks are fully operational, sir. We have eyes on every former colony world. The holographic display shifted to show the Proxima Centauri system. Red dots marked hegemony installations, while blue dots showed the locations of human survivors. Agent Dongwu has been embedded in the hegemony command structure for 18 months, Yujin continued. He reports that security protocols remain unchanged. They still believe we are extinct. Minho nodded with satisfaction. The hegemony's greatest strength had become their greatest weakness. Their total victory 50 years ago had made them careless and overconfident. Show me the current intelligence on Mining Complex 7, he ordered. The display zoomed in on what had once been the colony world of Kepler 44-B. Detailed schematics appeared, showing guard rotations, weapon placements, and the exact locations. Of human prisoners, we've identified 847 humans in various labor camps on this world alone, reported Jisung, the chief intelligence analyst. Our deep cover agents have established contact with resistance cells in 12 locations. What about the other worlds? 17 colony worlds still have human survivors, Jisung replied. Total population approximately 2.3 million individuals. Most are in slavery, but some have managed to hide in remote areas. Minho studied the numbers. 2.3 million survivors out of nearly 50 million colonists. The hegemony had been thorough in their conquest, but they had made one critical error. They had assumed that silence meant defeat. Status of the strike fleet. He asked. Captain Minna stepped forward, She commanded the Shadow Division, Earth's most advanced military unit. 2,000 ships ready for deployment, sir. All vessels equipped with cloaking technology and quantum communication arrays. Crew. Training. Every pilot has memorized the layout of their assigned targets. We have run the simulation 847 times with 0 acceptable losses. The simultaneous strike package is ready. Minho walked to the observation window that looked out into the artificial ocean surrounding the command center. Schools of fish swam past, unaware of the massive military installation hidden in the depths. Remember, he said quietly, we are not conquerors. We are liberators. Our people have suffered for 50 years because the galaxy believed we abandoned them. Today, we prove them wrong. Lieutenant Taiyang looked up from his communication console. Sir, we are receiving the daily status reports from all monitoring stations. The hegemony fleet movements match our predictions exactly. For 5 decades, Earth had transformed itself into something unprecedented in human history. Every citizen trained in military tactics. Every factory produced weapons or surveillance equipment. Every school taught children about the lost colonies and the promise to bring them home. The planet's surface looked normal to any passing observer. Cities, farms, and forests appeared unchanged. But beneath the oceans, underground facilities stretched for thousands of kilometers. Hidden shipyards had produced the most advanced fleet in galactic history. The hegemony believes they won a war, Minho said to his assembled officers. They were wrong. They only won the first battle. The war never ended. Dr. Xianwu, head of the Technological Development Division, activated a wall display showing Earth's latest innovations. The new stealth ships can remain undetected at ranges as close as 1 kilometer. Our weapons can disable hegemony vessels without destroying them, allowing us to recover human prisoners safely. What about communication with the survivors? Have established covert contact with resistance leaders on all 17 worlds, Xianwu replied. They are ready to coordinate with our forces when the operation begins. Colonel Ji-hoon, commanding the Special Operations Division, cleared his throat. Sir, our agents report that many survivors have given up hope. They believe Earth forgot them or was destroyed. That changes today, Minho said firmly. Signal all units to begin final preparations. Operation Homecoming commences in 72 hours. The command center buzzed with activity as officers coordinated the most complex military operation in human history. Not since the ancient wars on Earth had so many forces been deployed simultaneously across such vast distances. Sir Eugen said quietly, the psychological profiles suggest that many survivors may not trust us initially. 50 years of abandonment has left deep scars. Minho considered this. Then we will have to earn their trust through actions, not words. The galaxy will learn that humans never abandon their own. Distance means nothing. Time means nothing. A promise is a promise. In hidden bases throughout, the solar system ships began their final preparations. Pilots checked their systems one last time. Special Forces units reviewed their rescue protocols. Intelligence officers transmitted final updates to deep cover agents. The hegemony had ruled. The former human colonies for 50 years, growing fat and lazy on the profits of slave labor, they had forgotten that humans were not just another conquered species. They were about to remember. All stations report ready, Taiyang announced. There, let us bring our people home, Minho said. Earth's long silence was about to end with thunder. The first sign of trouble came at 0600 hours on what the hegemony called Victory Day, marking 50 years since their conquest of the human colonies. Commander Zorak was reviewing patrol schedules when every communication screen in the command center went black. Technical malfunction, he announced to his staff. Repair teams to all communication arrays. But the screens did not flicker back to life. Instead, a human face appeared on every display simultaneously. The alien officers stepped back in shock. They had not seen a free human for decades. Attention hegemony forces, the human said, in calm, clear words. This is Admiral Minho. Of the Earth Defense Force, you have exactly 1 hour to surrender all human prisoners unharmed. Failure to comply will result in immediate military action. Zorak's 4 eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible. The humans were destroyed 50 years ago. The transmission continued. To all human survivors listening to this message, Earth never forgot you. We have been watching. We have been preparing. Today, we bring you home. On Mining Complex 7, Salmon dropped her tools and stared at the monitor in her workstation. Around her, other human prisoners had stopped working. Some were crying, others stood frozen in amazement. "Did you hear that?" whispered Jinwoo, his voice. Shaking, they said, "Earth never forgot us." The hegemony guards shouted orders, but the human workers were not listening. For the first time in 50 years, they had hope. In the hidden chamber beneath the mining complex, Elder Do-Yan felt tears streaming down his weathered face. "I was wrong," he whispered to the other survivors. "Earth did not abandon us. They were coming all along." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on 17 worlds. Human slaves looked up from their labor with expressions of wonder and joy. Children, who had never known freedom, asked their parents what the strange feeling in their hearts meant. The hegemony response was swift and predictable. Battle fleets launched from their homeworlds, heading toward the former human colonies to crush this impossible rebellion. Admiral Vorthok commanded the largest force, confident that a few hidden human ships could be easily destroyed. "How many vessels could they possibly have?" he asked his tactical officer. "Our intelligence reports indicated that Earth's military was primitive even before the conquest." "Sensors detect no human ships in this system," came the reply. It was an elaborate bluff. Vorthok's flagship entered the Kepler 442 system, followed by 37 heavy cruisers. The planet below looked exactly as it had for decades, with mining operations running normally and no signs of military activity. "Begin orbital bombardment of the mining complexes," Vorthok ordered. "If there are human resistance fighters hiding there, we will eliminate them, along with the workers." The first volley of plasma bolts streaked toward the planet's surface. But before they could strike their targets, something extraordinary happened. The space around the hegemony fleet began to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Suddenly, the shimmer disappeared, revealing 2,000 human ships in perfect battle formation. They had been there all along, invisible and waiting. "Impossible," Vorthok breathed. "Our sensors showed nothing." The human fleet opened fire with weapons the hegemony had never seen before. Instead of destroying the alien ships, the mysterious beams simply shut them down. Engines died. Life support systems failed. All weapons went offline. Within minutes, the entire hegemony fleet was drifting helplessly in space. Emergency pods ejected as alien crews abandoned their disabled vessels. "This is Captain Minna of the Earth Vessel Remembrance," came a voice over the communication channels. "Hegemony forces, you are defeated. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to the laws of war." On the planet below, human special forces materialized inside the mining complexes. They moved with precision and purpose, disabling alien guards and freeing prisoners. The hegemony overseers found themselves facing soldiers whose equipment was decades ahead of anything they had encountered. "How is this possible?" demanded the complex supervisor as Colonel Ji-hoon's team secured the facility. "Earth was a backward planet. Your technology was primitive." 50 years is a long time," Ji-hoon replied calmly. "We used it well." Similar operations unfolded across all 17 worlds simultaneously. The hegemony's military commanders tried to coordinate a response, but their communication networks had been compromised. Orders never reached their destinations. Reinforcements never arrived. Intelligence reports painted a picture of total system failure. On the hegemony capital world, panic spread through the government halls. How had an extinct species suddenly become the most powerful force in the galaxy? Where had these advanced ships come from? How had human agents penetrated their most secure installations? Agent Dongwoo, who had spent 18 months embedded in the hegemony command structure, smiled as he watched his former colleagues flee their offices. His job was nearly complete. All primary targets neutralized, he reported through his concealed transmitter. Hegemony leadership is in full retreat. The operation that had taken 50 years to plan was completed in less than 6 hours. Hegemony's military might, built over decades of conquest, crumbled like a house of cards in the mining complex on Kepler 44 to be. Salman embraced her rescuers with tears of joy. "We thought you had forgotten us," she sobbed. "Never," replied the Earth soldier. "We counted every day. We remembered every name. We never stopped believing we would bring you home. The galaxy would remember this day as the moment humanity returned to the stars. But for the survivors, it was simply the day their family came to get them." Salman pressed her face against the viewport as the transport ship approached Earth. The blue and green world grew larger with each passing hour, exactly as her grandmother had described in those whispered stories so long ago. "Is that really our home?" asked Soyao, standing beside her. The young woman had been born in slavery and had never seen anything but the gray walls of mining complexes. "Yes," whispered Elder Doyun, his aged hand shaking as he gripped the viewing rail. "That is Earth. That is where our people began." The rescue ships had arrived at the former colonies like angels from heaven. Within days, every human survivor had been located and brought aboard the massive fleet. Medical teams worked around the clock to treat injuries and malnutrition. Counselors helped prisoners adjust to the idea of freedom. Captain Minna walked through the passenger sections, checking on the refugees. She had seen hardened soldiers cry when they witnessed the conditions their people had endured. Of slavery had left deep scars, but the survivors were remarkably strong. "How many of us are there?" asked Jinwoo, his back still bent from decades of heavy labor. 2.3 million survivors from all 17 worlds, Minna replied gently. "You are the last of the colony generation, but your children and grandchildren will grow up free." The ship's intercom crackled to life. "Attention passengers. This is Admiral Minho speaking from the flagship. I want you to know that Earth has been preparing for your return for 50 years. Every citizen knows your story. Every child learns. Your name's in school. You are not forgotten refugees. You are heroes coming home." Minji, the elderly former teacher, wiped tears from her eyes. "They really waited for us. They really remembered." "Of course they did," said Byung-ho, holding his grandson for the first time. The boy had been born in hiding but would grow up under Earth's sun. "We are family. Family never abandons family." As the transport ships entered Earth's atmosphere, crowds gathered in cities around the world. People held banners with the names of lost colonies. Children sang songs about the brave colonists who had built new worlds among the stars. The landing ceremonies were simple but moving. No grand speeches or military parades, just families reuniting after 50 years of separation. Salman stepped onto Earth's soil and fell to her knees. The gravity felt different from the mining world. The air smelled of growing things and ocean water. Above her, white clouds drifted across a blue sky she had only seen in old photographs. "Welcome home," said Dr. Xianwu, who led the integration team. "We have prepared housing, medical care, and education programs for everyone. But first you need time to rest and heal." The integration process was carefully planned. Survivors were housed in comfortable facilities where they could adjust to freedom gradually. Psychologists helped them process 50 years of trauma. Language teachers helped children learn proper Korean, since many had only known the simplified version used in the labor camps. Elder Doyan was given a place of honor in the memorial hall, where the names of all lost colonists were carved into black stone walls. He spent hours there, reading the names of friends and family who had died waiting for rescue. They did not die in vain, he told visitors. Their sacrifice taught Earth that we must never abandon our own people, no matter how far they travel or how long they are lost. The technological gap between the survivors and modern Earth was enormous. Children who had never seen computers learned to use devices that seemed like magic. Adults who had known only hard labor were offered education and job training. But the most important healing came from understanding what Earth had done during the 50 years of silence. The survivors learned that every citizen had contributed to the rescue effort. Factories had produced ships and weapons. Scientists had developed new technologies. Intelligence agents had risked their lives to gather information. "You thought we forgot you," explained Minister Ji-hoon during a public address. "But we were working every day to bring you home." Every child born on Earth was raised knowing about the lost colonies. Every soldier trained knowing their mission was to rescue you. The hegemony's empire collapsed within months. Species, seeing humanity's determination to protect its own, chose cooperation over conflict. Trade agreements were signed. Diplomatic relations were established. The galaxy learned that humans were not conquerors, but protectors. 6 months after the rescue, Salmon stood in the same memorial hall where Elder Dojan spent his days. She had started working as a translator, helping other survivors adjust to their new lives. Her daughter, born free on Earth, played in the garden outside. Grandmother, she whispered to the names on the wall, we made it home. Earth never forgot us, just like you said in your stories. The blue and green banner of Earth now flew over 17 worlds that had been restored to human control. The former slaves had become teachers, sharing their experiences with new generations of colonists who ventured into space. But this time, they went knowing that Earth would always be watching, always be ready, always be willing to cross the galaxy to bring its children home. The galaxy had learned humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their military might. It was their refusal to abandon their own people, no matter how far they traveled or how long they were lost. Some promises take 50 years to keep, but a promise is a promise.